A quiet and patient man with a colorful youth in the foothills of eastern Montana, Wayne Branch arrived at Longacres in 1944 and would rewrite the record book with 5 training titles and some of the track's most renowned stakes horses, storied figures like Ocean Bridge, Te Amo Weep, and Lacknack, an 8-time stakes winner whom Branch claimed for $4,500. In fact, horsemen today still marvel at Branch, the portly trainer with dark rim glasses with a penchant for fine cigars. He is praised for his total knowledge of thoroughbred horses, an amazing knack for keeping them racing sound, and an absolute insistence on running them in the right spots. Branch also was regarded as a figure of mystery, touched by folklore founded during an adventuresome youth and stirred by whispers of secret leg paints and magical powers to restore old campaigners. And indeed, Branch developed a widespread reputation for skill with bad-legged horses, those with bowed tendons, popped knees, ocelots, suspensory ailments, etc. His main remedy, however, was persistent rubbing and a program of confined walking for the afflicted horse.
I never knew Wayne Branch myself, but I heard stories from my dad on what a leg man he was, and my dad had a recipe for a leg tightener that had to be made up by a pharmacist, and I guess Wayne would bury the buckets of the Crocs in the ground to keep them cool and put the cold water bandages in there. It's kind of a solution you mix with water, and you actually can't even get the ingredients anymore. I've got a few gallons left, but I mean, it tightens up legs and your hands and anything that touches it. It was really an amazing thing, and it was before guys cortisoned and worked on horses. It was when you really had to, be creative and do it yourself.
Born in 1903, Wayne Branch grew up on his father's ranch where he took care of the farm's saddle horses and ponies. By age 17, he had accrued the status of trainer, racing for purses of $15 to $20 at the bush tracks of Montana. It was during those colorful but dusty and poor days that Wayne developed a knack for keeping old campaigners racing sound.
Well, I was a very good friend of Wayne Branch. In fact, I was his agent, though, for the last part of his training period up here. He was very loyal to people. Once he trusted you, you could do anything you wanted, and he would do anything for you. But he was a superb trainer. He'd stand in front of a horse's stall for 2 or 3 hours. So I'd go by and I'd see him standing there, and I said, "Wayne, what's going on?" And he would say, "Well, there's something about this horse that I haven't figured out." So he said, "I'm watching him to see if I can spot it." I said, "Well, good luck." Normally, or usually I should say, he did get the key to him. But that's how he trained. In fact, he'd throw the condition book at me and say, "Mark it up." And I'd do my best, but I'd sometimes goof up and raise a horse up to the next category, and he'd just win by 5. And he said, "What are you running him there for?" Well, I said, "He just won easy." He said, "Yes, but there's still room for 25 for him, so put him back down." That's how he was. Another thing he liked to do was, you have a horse that had problems. They sent a horse up to him from Golden Gate that was used to bolt. In fact, he wasn't able to run anymore in California because of his antics. So he had every piece of equipment on him you could think of: blinkers, tongue tie, slide bed, whatever they thought would curb his antics from going up. But the first time that Wayne run him, they sent him up to him at Longacres, and the first time he run him, he just took everything off him. So I come running over to him when they were coming out of the paddock, and I said, "Wayne, did you forget about all that equipment?" And the horse bolted. He says, "He wasn't running any good with all that equipment. Might have weighed him down." He said, "I just took it all off." And the bottom line was the horse never did a thing wrong and won by about 8. So that was Wayne Branch.
Branch clearly understood that horses were only paid for their afternoon performances, and thus rarely asked one of his chargers for speed in morning drills. "The key is to get as much action as possible," he said. "For this reason, I work them little and run them lots. I gallop them a great deal, yes, but I rarely set them down for drills in the mornings. I prefer to harden their muscles and tighten their wind by long, slow gallops. They get their speed practice and actual experience in races. Such wisdom resulted in 5 training titles at Long Acres, a feat matched only by Tom Roberts, as well as multiple titles at Bay Meadows, Turf Paradise, and Arizona Downs. 6 straight years, 1959 to 64, Branch finished in the top 10 in North America in victories. His 113 wins in 1962 ranked 3rd in the continent. Along the way, he became something of a latter-day Will Rogers with his homespun racing philosophy espoused to turf riders up and down the West Coast. Although generally acknowledged as quiet, Washington Racing Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement honoree Pete Peterson recalled Branch as a hell of a horseman and a good quote. Branch also approached the races with business acumen. "If you love a horse too much, that's all you'll have to love," he said. "You've got to be a businessman to survive in this game, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't treat your horses well. A horse that's happy and feeling good runs his best." One of Branch's shrewdest deals was when he claimed Lacknack for $4,500 for Dr. John Delory of Seattle. The famed stretch runner went on to win 8 Long Acre Stakes, including the Renton Handicap, 3 straight years, and ranks as Branch's most noteworthy performer. Indeed, it's fitting that Branch and Fry would enter the Hall of Fame the same night, since they combined to win some 500 races in Washington, California, and Arizona. By his own admission, Wayne Branch was a pessimist and would say, "I always expect the worst. That way I am never disappointed." Those who followed his career, however, were constantly amazed and rarely if ever disappointed. And tonight, this self-taught horse wizard, Wayne Branch, enters the Washington Racing Hall of Fame.